The German genitive case, der Genitiv. In today's lesson, I will show you what the genitive case is, when you have to use it, and I will also show you some noun-noun constructions. I will show you how you can avoid noun-noun constructions and therefore avoid the genitive case. And I will also show you prepositions, verbs, and adjectives that require you to use the genitive case. Hi, my name is Jan and I'm your German teacher here on Easy Deutsch, your YouTube channel for German grammar. Today's topic is the genitive case, der Genitiv. You probably know the genitive case as something that shows ownership or belonging in so-called noun-noun constructions. But we also have to use the genitive after some certain verbs, prepositions, and yes, adjectives. I wrote a whole book about German cases, and I can guarantee you it's easier than you think it is. I'm that sure that I give you a money-back guarantee. If you work yourself through my ebook, you will understand German cases for sure. If you don't, you will get a full refund. The link to my ebook about German cases you will find in the video description below. But if you want to have a first look at it, we will switch into my ebook right now so that I can explain you when and how you have to use the German genitive case. So let's switch into my ebook, German cases, no problem. So we're here now in my ebook about the German cases. Today's topic is the genitive case. So let's jump to the genitive case. The genitive case is also known as the case that indicates ownership or belonging because it's usually used in noun-noun constructions. What it is, later on. Before we talk about the genitive in detail, you've probably heard about it already, that genitive is dying out. There are some famous books like Der Dativ ist dem Genitiv sein Tod, so the dative is the death of genitive. Well, however, we still use it with some specific verbs, prepositions, and adjectives, and it's dying out maybe in 100 to 200 years. So there's no way around the genitive for you. You have to learn it. The question word here is wessen, so whose. That's actually the only question word that actually really makes sense, because most of the time it will work because we mostly use it with noun-noun constructions. But you will notice if the genitive is used after some certain verbs, prepositions, or with adjectives, wessen is just nonsense. We cannot ask with for the genitive with wessen. So let's have a look at the first example here. Das Auto des Mannes ist weiß. So the car of the man is white. Also the man's car is white. That's genitive because we can ask if whose car is white. The man's car. It's a noun-noun construction. This is a noun-noun construction. Means we have two nouns in a row that are not connected with a verb or a preposition. That is what a noun-noun construction is, and then the owner of the first noun gets the genitive case. So the second noun is the owner of the first noun, and the owner is genitive case. But we also use genitive after some certain prepositions. Während des Spiels verletzt sich. So during the game he got hurt. Here we have to use genitive simply because the preposition während requires us to use genitive case. We cannot ask with wessen, and it has nothing to do with ownership. So more about that later. Before we get to the use of the genitive case, let's have a quick look at the declension. Genitive case, you have to change all the articles, like in dative, and masculine and neuter get des, and feminine and plural get der. So If you want to know more about German declension, I will not go too much into detail about this in this video because it would be too much. But I made a whole series of declension videos, declension of every single article. I will link that for you in the info cards here in the upper right corner. What is special with the genitive case, you've probably saw it here already marked in yellow, is the ending s or es in neutral and masculine singular. So when do you actually have to use s and when do you have to use es? So for nouns ending in s, sz, x, z, you must use es. This one is probably easy to memorize. It would make it a double S, and that looks just different, right? That's where you have to use the ES. And those ones, they all sound like the S at the end, somehow at least. So we have to add an extra E. And then we have one syllable nouns. One syllable means there's just one vowel in there. So there's just one A, E, I, O, or U. And then you usually use ES because it sounds better. But only S is also okay. Grammar-wise, it's both correct. It just sounds better if you say des Mannes over des Manns. It is correct, but it just goes way harder. It comes out way harder. You can try it yourself. Whatever is easier for you to actually say, use it, but with the one syllable nouns, it's better to add the second syllable with the E, des Mannes. And anything else gets just yes. So if it's not a one syllable one, just S. If it's not ending on S, S, Z, X, or Z, just S. And now let's have a look at the genitive case and when you actually have to use it. So if you want to show ownership or belonging, that's the noun construction. First noun, second noun, like I told you before. The first noun can be nominative, like in this case, but could be dative or accusative too. And then we have somebody who owns the first noun, and that's genitive. It's a noun construction. There can't be any preposition in between here. There can't be any verb in between here. Then it's not a noun construction anymore, because remember, verbs and prepositions, they also usually require you to use some certain cases. And if you're English native speaker, you probably tend to do this. Das Pferd von dem Reiter ist weiß. So the horse of the rider is white, because that's how you usually do it in English. You can do it like this in German too. You add the equivalent for the preposition of is von, and then remember von requires dative case and overrules anything else, so dative. Das Pferd des Reiters, the rider's horse is white. Both works in English, both works in German. The difference is a little bit for a native speaker's ear. This one sounds much better, or maybe not much better, but more educated. This one, depending on the situation, could sound a little bit uneducated. So if you want to sound educated, and if you're in company with people who have a good and high education, prefer to use this one. Day-to-day use supermarket, nobody cares. Everything will be fine. And grammar-wise, both are always fine. Let's have a look now at noun constructions with names and proper names. So here we have to do it a little bit different, and not really different if you're a native English speaker, because then if it's a name, so a proper noun, we just do it just like in English. Holgers Pferd ist weiß. So Holger's horse is white. We do it the same way, just without the apostrophe. So no apostrophe in German there. That would immediately bust you for a non-native speaker, even if everything else is correct. We don't put apostrophes there. and the name always goes before the noun. So it's the other way around. Usually the owner comes after the noun that is owned, but if it's a proper noun, it is in front. And if the name, the proper noun, ends in anything that sounds like an S, we do not add an extra S, we add the apostrophe. But if we add an S, no apostrophe here, the apostrophe simply shows that's genitive, but we don't want to add another S here because we already have one there, or we have a letter that sounds more or less like an S. And we have to use the genitive after some certain prepositions. I already gave you an example before. Wegen der Krankheit kann nicht arbeiten, so because of the disease he can't work. Wegen requires you to use the genitive case, so that's why we have to use it here. There's no other reason, there is no ownership or belonging. You can't ask with whose, wessen. It is genitive because the preposition wants it like that. Here you have the most important genitive prepositions. If you purchased my ebook, you also find a complete overview and a complete list of all genitive prepositions at the end in the list section. And I mentioned it already, but just to mention it one more time to make it clear, because many students, for whatever reason, don't get that in the first place. If there is a preposition, the preposition always is king and overrules any other rule. So if you see a preposition, you know, okay, I have to use the case of the preposition no matter what. But you have to use the genitive also after some specific verbs, at least if there's no preposition in between. And here you have a few examples to those verbs. They are all pretty much B1, B, or mostly even B2 and higher. So if you're still a beginner, don't worry too much here that you don't get this. Simply understand it if you see it, but that's nothing really you will encounter on the A levels. You will not see those verbs. Wir gedenken der Toten means we remember the dead. Wir bedürfen der Hilfe. We need the help in a really fancy way. And wir werden der Situation Herr. We will control the situation. I translate the examples here for you. If you get the ebook, you will have an extra translation sheet for all the examples here, because I think it's very important for you to understand all examples, to understand the grammar. But it's not in here in order to not put too much information in here, because most of the time we will probably not even need the translation. Same for those verbs here. I will not go too deep into what they mean here, simply because it would be too much. It's something you have to know. Some of them, like this one, like those ones, you have to use with accusative and genitive, so they require you to use both cases. I have a whole video series about verbs with so-called complements, and they can have either prepositional complements or nominative, accusative, dative, or genitive complements. So check out that playlist that I will link for you in the info cards. Also, you have to use the genitive after some specific adjectives. Like in my dative video, this is B2 and above. It's more here for you to make it complete. Ich bin mir meines Fehlers bewusst means I know about my mistake, or I'm aware of my mistake. And just like in dative, the noun comes after, the adjective comes after the noun, not before. If it's before the noun, no influence on the case at all, only here after it and in combination with sein. There are a few more. Again, if you purchase my ebook, you get a full list and a full overview for this. As a short summary to wrap this lesson up, genitive is primarily used for noun constructions and also after some certain prepositions, and on the higher levels also after some specific verbs and adjectives. Your task again is look how the genitive case and possession is done in your native language and compare it to German, because this comparison can at the end help you a lot in case your language use cases too. If it doesn't use it or it's not similar, it still helps you to understand the grammar of your native language, because then it makes it in general easier to understand grammar in general. And don't forget to do the exercises if you have my ebook. If you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to ask them in the comment section below. I'm always trying to answer all your questions. If you've learned a lot today, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done it yet. If you want to support me even further, you can also share my video with your friends or your fellow students at school. And I don't do Patreon, or I'm also not annoying you with other in-video ads where I talk about something completely different for 2 or 3 minutes. I only want to give you the best value if I charge you for it, and those are my ebooks. I talked about it at the beginning of the video. You can purchase this ebook and I guarantee you will understand German cases afterwards. If not, I will refund you your money. The link is in the video description below, so check it out. There you will also find a few more ebooks with more exercises, with more explanations about prepositions, about conjunctions, so all the connectors, and more than 120 German grammar topics overall. So check it out, and then I hope I will see you again in one of my other videos, and until then, viel Spaß und Erfolg beim Deutschlernen.